Hey everybody, welcome back. Bill here. A few days ago, maybe last week or something like, I don't know. It was recently. I made a video about the things that I would like to see improved to make Google Stadia even better. I mean, I'm a huge fan of it. I think it's fantastic, but of course it can be improved. And so I made a list of 10 things that I think will make Google Stadia better. There's a link in the description down below. If you haven't watched that video, go watch that one first. And then, as part of that video, I tweeted out basically a prompt asking for anybody who follows me on Twitter to tell me what they think would make Google Stadia better. And so here is part two of that video. I guess I can't really call it part two because I said that there were 10 things, and well, I lied and gave 9 things and then a prompt. So I don't know what this video is. It's your thoughts on what can make Google Stadia better. So before we get started with everything that you said, do me a favor, do all of the things that we ask you to do on YouTube because it really does help. Like, subscribe, click the bell, and comment down below if there's something that gets mentioned that doesn't get mentioned today that you think would improve Google Stadia. All right, let's get started. Let's start with a tweet from Dustin Arand, and they said, number one, more supported devices like Amazon devices and iOS. I would love to see iOS. As far as Amazon devices, I know that you can currently sideload Google Stadia onto the Amazon Fire tablets. My co-host Lloyd did that. He didn't get really good results. It was kind of choppy, didn't run very well. My guess is because he bought I think it was like the second cheapest tablet that you could get from Amazon, and it just wasn't up to decoding the stream. So I don't think that it should be on all devices. I think it should be on all devices that would be capable of decoding the stream. And, you know, those cheap Fire tablets, they're really, really low power. So I can understand why that didn't work. However, I would love to see Amazon Fire devices that have enough power to decode the stream to be able to do so without having to sideload. That's not really a good solution. However, I don't think that that's going to happen. I see Amazon and Google have always kind of been at odds with each other. Right now, well, since the last time I checked, and I don't know if that's changed, but you can't even really do YouTube without sideloading on an Amazon Fire tablet, which is kind of ridiculous. You should just be able to do it easily, but they made it so that you would have to sideload YouTube on there. And YouTube has a huge audience. And if Amazon feels confident enough to say, we're going to be just fine without YouTube, then I think that they would also say, we're going to be just fine without Google Stadia. So I don't anticipate that we would see Amazon devices having Google Stadia on them anytime soon, at least not until we see YouTube on them. They said number two, the ability to send, share captures and upload to YouTube from the app. The sending and sharing captures, I think, would be, it's kind of crazy that it's not already included. So I definitely agree with you there. However, uploading to YouTube from the app would just put a lot of 30-second clips on YouTube, and I think that that would be really bad for YouTube as a platform. So I hope that that never happens. However, what I would like to see is allow me to upload my clips to YouTube, not publish them, but upload them to like a little spot on YouTube where then I could use the YouTube editor as a very simple to use, not very powerful video editor where I could put a bunch of clips together if I wanted. I think that that would be really cool, but I wouldn't want to see a lot of 30-second clips on YouTube. That would really be irritating if you were looking for something and all these 30-second clips were showing up. That would not be a good user experience for the people who are using YouTube. But I do think that we need more ways to share. Then they said 3, better communication. I have to agree with the better communication. This week especially, I'm recording this on the 28th. Now this week especially, I feel like I should say Stadia instead of Google, because Google is like all of this stuff and Stadia is just this one little part of it. But I feel like Stadia, they're still trying to get the communication stuff down, and they released like 3 different big pieces of news this week, which is all great, but it's also kind of confusing. And why don't they release it all at once, other than to stay in the news cycle for a longer period of time? One of the things that was released was that Elder Scrolls Online is going to be a Stadia June Pro game, and that wasn't even announced by the Elder Scrolls Online or by Stadia before. It was just kind of like an extra line in a YouTube description on the official like video. And we were like, oh, okay, well, I guess it's going to be on the 16th. Like, that was very surprising that they did that. I do think that they need to get better at communication, but that's going to take time. And, what are you going to do? Moving on, we have a tweet from Navy Submariner. They said, number 1, family share. Number 2, family share. Number 3, family share. This has been put off for so long while leaving families in the dark. Google really needs to identify what their plan for family share is, along with what will happen to current game saves by other family members. While I 100% agree that we need to know what the plan is for family share, I'm fine waiting to actually get family share until it's ready. But I would like it if Google would do better at communication and explain to us what exactly is the plan for family share. Like, even if it's not available now, just tell us what it's going to be so that we can plan accordingly. Like right now, I have bought 2 copies of The Division 2, 1 copy for my son and 1 copy for myself. And if that was an unnecessary purchase, that's irritating. Does that make sense? Anyway, moving on. Tesso Geek says, well, I had my first bad customer service experience with them. I think they need another social channel to deal with customer complaints. And I would have to agree. Most of the time, if you are tweeting at Google Stadia, you get a robot reply. And what I would very much like instead is a separate Google Stadia support Twitter account or something where I could send them a message and they could say, hey, do this. However, I will point this out, Tesso Geek, is that if any time that I have needed support and I've gone to the Stadia website and clicked the contact us button or whatever it's called, I can't remember, those interactions that I've had with that set of customer support people have been really good. Now, sometimes they are misinformed about something, and that's just something that Google needs to get a better handle on. But I've had really, really good support when going through that channel. Trying to get support on Twitter is usually like a last-ditch effort that people should do. Let's see. Dwemer Tom says, more games, family sharing, and wireless Stadia controller support on mobile. Okay, so I get what you're saying. You don't like wires. But the thing is, the reason I don't like wires is because they get all tangled up. But if you get like a 6-inch USB-C cord for your controller, then what's the real difference for mobile? Because when I look at using mobile, this is just me, but when I look at using mobile, my controller is not going to be very far from my phone. It's going to be right next to my phone. And so a wire shouldn't really be that big of a deal. However, this is a big however, if I'm playing on my iPad, which I currently can't, but if I'm playing on my iPad, then I would really, really like to have wireless support because I would be a little bit further away. So I guess the iPad is mobile. And if I were using maybe a Google tablet and running into this same issue, then maybe I would be on your side. And you know what? I think I've changed my own mind, Dwemer Tom. Moving on. Regor says, more games, and more games. And most people said more games in this. Joel Thompson says, a release of all the features shown over a year ago. I agree. There are things that they showed us that we still don't have. The ability to stream on YouTube, the basically, which for me is the democratization of video game streaming. being able to stream directly to YouTube from my Stadia account without having to have a beefy PC in order to do that with is like, that's the dream. That's what I really, really want for everybody out there, because streaming is incredibly fun. And anything that makes that easier for more people is going to make more people have fun doing content creation, which I absolutely love to do. So I agree that we need to see these features that they showed us over a year ago. The features like holding down the assistant button and saying, how do I get past this? That kind of stuff isn't going to happen for a long time, I think. Number 2, demos. I did speak to John Justice. He is a VP he's the head of product for Google Stadia, and he's a VP at Google. And he said to me that they would be having demos. We don't have them yet, but right now we're kind of getting demos. If everybody has Pro, everybody with access to Stadia has Pro for free right now. So that means we're getting all of these games and we're able to try them out. He also says Activision and Blizzard. I would love for Diablo 4 to come to Google Stadia. I would love for Overwatch 2 to come to Stadia. I think eventually that's going to happen. We had whoever the guy is in charge of Overwatch, Jeff Kaplan. We had him swear up and down, over and over and over again, that Overwatch not coming to the Nintendo Switch because they didn't want to support another platform. Then the Nintendo Switch got huge, and so they ended up porting it. They did the same thing with Diablo 3. So I think that I think that Activision Blizzard they're a company that like to sit back and they don't want to make an unsafe bet. They want to make a safe bet. So they're going to wait until Stadia gets bigger before they jump in with both feet. That means we probably will never see Overwatch 1. We probably will never see Diablo 3. But I fully anticipate that in the future we will have access on Stadia to Overwatch 2, as well as Diablo 4, and maybe World of Warcraft. Although I'm less interested in World of Warcraft on Stadia now that Elder Scrolls Online is coming. Moving on. Project Storm says, number 1, direct streaming to YouTube. I already talked about that. Yes, I agree. Number 2, the ability to play music in the background while gaming via Chromecast Ultra. Just implement the feature directly from Google Home/Play Store. I also think that if you did this, probably not with Spotify, since Google doesn't own Spotify, but if you did it with, let's say, I don't know, YouTube Music, you'd get a bunch of new YouTube Music subscribers. And by the way, I don't know if you're aware of this. If you are a YouTube Music subscriber, then you also have YouTube Premium. And if you have YouTube Premium, sometimes they give you free, like a free membership on a YouTube channel of your choice. And if you're watching this, click on the little join button down below to find out more about membership. Moving on. 3D audio support, i.e. Dolby Atmos support. All right, I don't know anything about this. I'm going to assume that it's awesome, and I want it too, but I'm never going to use it because I don't have like a surround sound setup. I just wear a pair of headphones when I play, and I've got a pair of speakers on my desk. And for me, that's good enough. But I want it for everybody else. All right, I'm not going to read all of these because there's so many, and I don't want to go too long. Joe Winderman says, a more fleshed out platform, messaging, see friends, achievements, etc. So they want us to be able to message each other. Now, I've got good news for you, Joe. One of the things that has been uncovered in an APK breakdown by 9to5 Google is that messaging is coming. And most of the things that we've seen in these APK breakdowns have come out. So that's a really good thing. Seeing friends' achievements, cool, I guess. I would never look at those things, but if you want that, I'm not against it. Let's see. Scrolling down. Chris had two things here. He says, more social aspects, like a dashboard where you can start spectating other streams that set the stream to public. I really liked what OnLive did here. Yes, that would be awesome. If I'm playing a game and I just say anybody on my friends list can watch it, or anybody who's on my friends list or on a or as friends with somebody on my friends list could watch it because they have permission, stuff like that. That would be really awesome. Especially if I could control what they could hear. Like if they could just hear the game, no chat audio, none of my microphone stuff. It's just me playing the game, and somebody wants to see what the game is like, and they can say, oh, look at that. Somebody on my friends list is playing game X that I'm interested in. That would be really, really cool for me to be able to watch them play for a little bit and make that decision. I think Steam did something along those lines with Steam Broadcast, but it never caught on. I think it would be really awesome if they did. Chris continues. They said a CCU controller via controller connected to phone. Oh, okay. So I think they're saying if you've got an old controller laying around, like an old Xbox controller or something like that, you could hook it up to your phone, like with a wire, and that would give you access to be able to use non-Stadia controllers on the Chromecast Ultra. That is actually a pretty brilliant idea. I don't know how much latency it would give you. However, it's better than not being able to play on a TV at all if you don't have a Chromecast Ultimate and a Stadia controller. They also said 3, share play. Let a buddy take over a second controller, even if he doesn't own the game. Would be amazing for games with split screen / fighting games. My son uses this sometimes on his PlayStation 4. I've seen him playing like a game like Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2 with one of his friends, and they're just kind of spectating him, and then he lets them take a turn, and then they kind of just switch back and forth because they don't own the game. I think that that's really cool, and it probably sells games. That's a really great idea. William Millard says, have an area for upcoming games and trailers with release dates. Yeah, the store doesn't do much to tell me what's going to happen in the future. Everything always feels like a surprise with Google Stadia. They're like, surprise, such and such just happened. In fact, today they just announced 5 more games that are coming to Google Stadia. I mean, obviously you're watching this after the fact, but they announced 5 new games that are coming to Google Stadia, and I think 4 of them, or maybe 3 of them, some of them have not been on the platform before, and they're all Stadia Pro games. Like, if you know a release date that a game is coming out, put it on the store, maybe not for pre-purchase, but just to show people, hey, this is what's coming. That would be really awesome. I don't understand why they don't do it. Let's see. Number 2, monthly recap videos and Google Photos integration for captures. I talked about this in my previous video, so go back and check out that video if you haven't already. Number 3, collectible items like tokens with an NFC chip that links to a game. Okay, so basically Amiibo for Stadia. I'm not 100% sold on your idea there, William. We'll do one more thing, and this one comes from Kiprian. They said more countries supported, wishing for Switzerland, more games, and YouTube integration with crowd play and crowd choice. Yeah, those are 2 things that we already know about, but you know, Google has been really silent on it. When I talked to John Justice, he said those things are ready for developers to take advantage of. And then when I talked to developers, they said, well, yes, we have access to it, but so far we haven't been able to actually use it yet, but it's not live for customers yet. So I don't know what the holdup is there. Anyway, if I didn't read your idea, I'm sorry about that. I could only fit so many in. This video was getting long. Speaking of videos, if you want to see any of our other videos, do all of that YouTube stuff. Click the thumbs up button, the subscribe button, the bell, and all that other stuff. And leave a comment down below if there's something that I didn't go over that you really think needs to be added to Google Stadia in order to make it a better place. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.